committee with no one on there who has an STR, I mean, honestly, how can you say you're getting the best perspective? If you were setting up a committee that dealt with, say, domestic animal, issues in town, wouldn't you put, I would think you would put someone on the committee who has a cat or a dog. If you were dealing with firearms issues in town, I would think you'd put on the committee someone who owns a gun. So I really wonder about the good faith proceedings with this. The survey also, I understand you didn't want to spend the money on postage, so every citizen in town would have an opportunity to weigh in on this. I just spoke to a friend of mine back here before the meeting started, and he's very internet savvy. I asked him if he filled out the survey, and he went, "What survey?" So to not spend the pennies for postage on this, which has far-reaching impacts economically and quality of life, so that everyone can weigh in on this, is really foolish. And it gives, to me, the impression that you're not really proceeding in good faith with this, I have to say. Now, I have a business in town. I have benefited from increased lodging availability, but my previous house, which was right across the street here, the owners next to me, they applied for a B&B. They live there. So I went through the whole process with them, and I know about the issues with noise. I understand about a big picture of this. But I believe we can solve these issues. I want the town to solve these issues. As this gentleman said, we are on the cusp of this generational change here that we have not had for 100 years. And if we're really going to proceed and get the best results out of this, you've got to make it transparent. You've got to, you've got to proceed in good faith and let everybody weigh in on this, Rob.
If I may, I'll let Rob just post it. I'll let Rob address the postage. You want to talk about transparency and good faith. When we put this committee together, they're closed committee meetings. They're open to the public to sit. They are not open to the public to talk.
I understand.
There are members that come to the meetings that have talked more than any committee member.
Fine. That's
no,
not. But that doesn't matter to the rest of the community.
I understand that.
You're not proceeding properly. Even if you're saying we're just getting this.
Dave, let him respond.
No, let me finish, please.
No,
you're getting this little committee together just to start. You're setting a really bad precedent for what you're doing.
So by allowing the people that come to the meetings to interact, to give us advice, and then telling them in good faith that the committee will be reformed and they will have representation, as will the people on the other side of the issue, how is that setting a bad precedent? I understand what you're saying, and I understand that you want someone on...
We don't know that.
Okay. It's happening.
We don't know that.
How do you not know?
It was
said in every single committee. You were filming. Go back to the footage.
We read it on the paper a week ago.
Carrie.
Come on. Don't rewrite the narrative.
I've been at every committee meeting. It has been said.
Okay, but this is. I understand there are issues with this. Aside those points aside, you have given the impression from the start that this is not on an even, like we really want to find out from everyone what the issues are with this. It just, I just think like you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And I don't know what this committee is yet. I don't know with the optics of having no representation from an STR, and I don't plan to put one in my house. I'm concerned about this issue being treated fairly for our community because it's so critically important. So I really, my point is, be careful and be conscious and be sensitive about this and really proceed so that everybody here can say they gave us a fair shake. Okay. We're going to have to compromise. I might get this, but I won't get that. But they gave us a fair shake. And so far, it does not to me seem like you've really given it a fair shake. Okay?
I can appreciate that.
As for the mailing, Dave, the reason we didn't do a mailing is because you would have to then number all these things. You'd have to track them a lot better. It was just become a a monster. And
But
there's
then
no
it
way to
should
do
have been done.
We did it online, it's a simple survey, it's more than any other community's doing out there, I'm telling you that. And
Rob, that's fine, but this
You
is
know.
this community.
I understand, okay,
I was
Thank
gonna
you.
say something about this.
okay.
Listen to Dave, will you?
All right. Dave, I'd just like to ask you a question. Do you feel that it's appropriate for somebody to set up a tent on the lawn of the Phoenicia Hotel and sell the same wares that you're selling?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Ted.
What's that got to do with?
What does that have
I'm
to
just
do with?
asking.
Sorry.
What does that have to do with anything?
Just
Yeah.
asking.
What does that have to do with that, Rob?
It's a similar situation.
I mean,
No.
why would you say that? Why
Because
is
it's a
my
similar
supervisor,
situation.
would you not say, Dave, I understand your points, we'll try to incorporate them and proceed? Instead of
it's a
saying to
similar
me,
situation.
Dave, if somebody opened up a tent thing across the street, how would you feel? Come on, Rob.
It's a similar situation, and we're trying to find a balance here.
Come on.
Rob, it's not the same crowd who stay in your hotel as who comes to Airbnb.
I don't get the same
There's enough
crowd.
pie for everybody.
I don't get the same
This
yes,
is
so
about
it doesn't bother me.
competition. And
I don't get
there's
the
no
same yes at all.
competition. We can share.
Rob, when you want to deal with that issue, please, I'll be happy to weigh on it, and I would encourage you, again, to send out a survey to everybody in town and have people on the committee who have businesses in town, so you get the perspective. Not just 10 people, but people who own businesses. Right.
Okay. Teddy,
Ian,
Yes.
can Ian Malcolm speak?
sorry, Teddy's had his hand up for a while in the back.
Hey Dylan, most people know me, I'm Teddy Byron, I'm the chief of the Fire District. Vincent's here, the second assistant chief. Last month, we were told there were some questions that were brought up at the meeting about the fire department district. I just want, if anybody has any now, we can answer them. If not, Rob or everybody up there has my cell phone, we can answer any question. There's nothing being hidden, you know, everything's out there. So we did have some members come to our board meeting, the commissioners meeting, and we answered a bunch of questions. So if anybody has anything now, we can try to answer them. If not, we come next month. So,
All right, thank you.
just-
I don't have, I mean, we had a discussion about what the powers are of each board and
Okay.
where it lies and,
Yeah, so if anybody comes up with a question, just call me. You know, you guys all, the board has my cell phone number, and we can answer them.
Thanks for everything you did.
Can we just circle back to the gas station? I own a home on Church Road that I've been there for over 20 years. And it is an eyesore. Everything that Marty and Gary brought up is absolutely true, and everyone in this room knows that. I haven't been up here in a couple of weeks, and I noticed that the problem is growing in West Road. There's probably 10 more cars there since I came up 3 weeks ago. So I know what the solution is, and I know what you're all trying to do. But is there any way to kind of stem the tide? Because it just keeps getting worse and worse. You said that you saw him dropping the car off today.
well, I can't swear to it. I saw
Well,
it.
you
Yes,
saw
well, I
something,
think he had
okay,
a
be
truck
that as it may, regardless.
Might have something with that.
So is there any way, do you have?
We can't, no, it's only court, through code enforcement. No, it's like us, sorry, we can't issue a speeding ticket or moving.
But he works for you.
Yes. We can tell him, you know, we'd like you to address this. Catch all the speeders, but I can't sit there and watch over his shoulder to make sure he's doing, is he doing it at 30, is he doing it at 35, is he doing it at
I'm
36?
sorry, I have one more question.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with the junkyard. The bridge that goes across down Church Road, you and I have had several conversations about this.
Yes.
Is it on the docket to be replaced this year, repaired this
I
year?
don't believe so. This is, Kara, this is the church, Eric's in the conference, so Kara, his secretary, is here. Church Street Bridge.
Just the Bruce Road.
Church Road.
Church Road.
Yeah, I don't think it's this year. I know it's flagged.
Okay,
But,
so what does that mean, this flag?
it can only handle a certain weight.
No, that I realize, that I've had issues having propane deliveries to my property.
Yeah.
And I had to find another
I know.
vendor. No, we spoke about this, and thank God I got that resolved. And I did have some questions, if God forbid that bridge becomes compromised, can an ambulance go across it? Can a fire truck go across it? Can a plow go across it? This is something that is of concern, especially if you live on that road and you need a fire truck. So right now, originally it was It was rated for 6 tons. After I spoke to you, another sign went up and said, now it's 10 tons.
Yeah,
Well, again, you know, again, and I hope,
We had a 6-ton restriction on it, and then we had a contractor come and do a better inspection of it, and they raised it.
okay, no, I understand that, but the longer it waits, is the tonnage gonna go down on that bridge?
I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
but there's a list of a lot of things. that
Okay, so
happen.
where are we on the list? I guess that's
you
my
have to
question.
talk to Eric.
Eric,
I'm
he's
sure
not
it's a
here,
long
right?
list.
Okay.
Try not to use it as much as you can.
Yeah, well, that's easy for you to say, because you don't need to drive across to get to your house, right? I do.
You're next.
Ian is next. Yes.
Ian Lockman, Chichester resident. I'd just like to, excuse me for reading this, but I'd just like to raise a few points from the comprehensive plan for the town of Shandaken. It was approved in 2005 and recommended by the Comprehensive Plan Committee of Chuck Perez, Rob Stanley, John Horn, and Harry Jameson III. And a couple of quotes from there that are such: the town should work to develop incentive programs to attract desired types of businesses, particularly home-based businesses and small industries that can establish without a need for significant amount of infrastructure. It goes on, home-based businesses can be encouraged by not imposing strict location and process regulations. In regards to the valleys, it refers to development should be limited to residential, home businesses, and small businesses related to tourism. Overnight accommodations could also be encouraged. So this is, and it still is, the plan, our comprehensive plan for Shandaken, which we were part of the thing. And we are dealing with the short-term rentals now, which are the perfect fit for this. And I have both short and long-term rental apartments, and they work harmoniously together. Screenings that I have in place for both types of renters and the terms are clearly set. Good landlords require qualified tenants both financially, credit check and income, and through references and acceptance of lease rider terms. These terms are crafted through 30 years of experience. This is the security that landlords need to take care of their properties, and they require the same in return from the tenants. SDR hosts have the same security through the screening of hosts, their financial guarantee, and reviews and house rules. SDR hosts are a perfect fit for the boosting of tourism in the town that is so much enjoyed. We have the low impact home business that the comprehensive plan sought. For me, I can no longer do construction, so physically, so my rentals help me survive so I can make art and allow me to have friends and family stay during the slow season. I have never had a complaint from neighbors. I haven't heard of one against any hosts in our town. There are plenty of regulations on the books right now regarding noise and any complaints against anybody, and SDR guests or hosts included. All of this needs to be provided. Real terms like these, just not in an abstract or hearsay. If there's reports from police, they need to be provided as evidence. It's not something abstract. You know, it's got to be real. Because I don't hear of any of this. All I know is people doing great things, and I don't hear any complaints from neighbors at all. Any restrictions on SDRs would not solve the town's low-income rental problem. These properties are a different market. Affordable housing is for the town to design and build or reach out to organizations like Habitat for Humanity. It's a whole other project. and it's something that the town could well focus on. But it's got nothing to do with STRs.
Yeah.
And businesses, another point is businesses, but some businesses in town are not paying a living wage, and it's also an issue here. You know, and in Phoenicia we have 2 vacant commercial properties that owners are sitting on, and this is negatively impacting our town, and hurts the tourism and the vibrancy of what is regarded, all due respect to all the other hamlets, but Phoenicia is a key to our tourism. So I think that is something that needs to be addressed for the vibrancy of the town. I mean, these are the things that need to be focused on, you know. It's, the SDR is, there may be, I mean, I've done everything at code, all the fire things are in place. I pay all my taxes to the county and state, and I have all the insurance. You know, these are, and I make sure that I screen people with that. You know, it's a vibrant city, and I'm sending, you know, I'm an agent to send people out into this place. I recommend all the restaurants and you know, and trails and everything. You know, so it's like I turn people onto this area, and I think all of the SDR hosts do that. You know, we're driving this tourist economy here. We really are. And I want you to appreciate that and not knock it in where you go with this.
Okay. All right. Ian, I absolutely appreciate everything you're saying. Again, we have not put any regulation in place. We have looked at other regulations from other towns. That's what part of our survey questions have been about. Like, are these regulations that are going to work for us, or things that are going to work for us? And I think really what's coming out, you know, the cream to the top is that you're still looking at something. Again, there's always going to be those good STR owners, just like there's those great restaurant owners that are going to keep their place up to the Department of Health snuff. But there's always going to be those 1 or 2 that are not hitting the mustard. You know, they're not making it. So we're not making a regulation out of this survey. That was never what we were doing. We weren't making a regulation coming directly from the survey. We were just collecting the data. And I've said it to several other STR owners, you know, whether it be here or down in Phoenicia or whatever. I'm personally, I don't have a problem with STRs. Again, my hotel, it's one night stays. That you know, they're not coming here to spend the week. That's what the STR people are doing. They're spending a weekend, they're spending 3 days, they want a whole house experience. I don't have that. So I'm not seeing it as a new owner of an inn. This whole thing started actually, and John can attest that back in 2016, we received a letter from Airbnb saying, hey, you might want to look at regulation on this. Airbnb themselves will recognize that you want to see that you make sure you got something on the books to help make sure this is all legit, because you don't want to diversify your product. They don't want to diversify their product too much, because then the prices will start going down and dropping, and then people will start selling out. So I appreciate everything you're saying, and I'm not putting a chagrin to anybody that's trying to make money on their own property. I know plenty of people that have guest houses on their property, and they wanted to make an extra buck, and they renovate that thing, and they can do short-term rental or long-term rental. Just still need to make sure that it's meeting the fire code. And I know you as a contractor, again, you're saying the right things. You know, you put the GFI outlet in, you put these things in. You make sure that it's up to code. We haven't inspected these, and that's part of the problem, is that we have concerns that safety, inspections, things like that, and that's where we're looking at the long term. But there's no regulation that's coming out of this survey. So,
thank you.
Ian.
Couple things. Sorry. Number one, there's no viable alternative for accommodations in the area. And even the less upscale STRs you're referring to are generally better than the conventional accommodations that have been offered, at least, you know, until recently, in the area, there's been no decent place to stay. I mean, you're familiar, of course, with what, I mean, the musty, moldy crap that, you know, we as a community have offered visitors and guests for decades. You know, at least that is being transcended by something more desirable. So if you, at this stage, unless there's some big transformation of the conventional hotel industry, which I don't think is forthcoming, any kind of suppression of STR business in this community is a death sentence for all businesses that are relying on the tourist dollar that they're facilitating. Also, in regard to the survey, I can understand why it's problematic or perhaps not realistic to do the mailing and the individual numbering and the expense and the coordination of all that. The survey online is a viable alternative, but by doing it that way, you have to promote it. It can't just be we put it online and it exists there. The town has to have a plan to promote that survey, to promote awareness, social media, in the newspaper, you know, in any way. Pardon?
It's right on the website on the top right.
Right, but how, I mean.
And I post on Facebook just about every few days, so that's
Just,
right.
I don't mean to cut you off, Ian, but one of the biggest problems we face in this community is communication, is getting the word out, getting information out. We don't have a direct line access to a lot of things. So we have Facebook, we have our town website, we have articles that appear in the Catskill Mountain News, the Woodstock Times, and periodically the Freeman will pick it up. But it's a difficult thing to do unless we put big plaster billboards throughout the town saying, fill out your survey. You know, so
How many returns have come in on this?
right now, I think last I checked last week, we were somewhere at about 220, 240, somewhere in there.
Oh, that's too much.
And that was online. And I can tell you that we gave manual surveys, we had printed surveys that we gave to the libraries and the town clerk's office. Phoenicia, I think, gave out, what, 40 surveys and got 3 in return.
Yeah.
And it just,
I understand that the.
we're gonna have to manually enter that into the data.
I heard today that the Phoenicia Library doesn't have any more surveys left, and that the town is not gonna give them anymore to hand out to those who ask. Is that true?
No, we asked them to, okay, so you've got a library, and somebody comes in and says, I'd like to fill out a survey. I heard it's online. There are 5 computers sitting right there. It takes 3 seconds to go over click Shandaken.us. The problem being is that when we started here and we're getting 40 or 50 handed out, those 40 and 50, then we have to sit there and manually enter all their data into this data set. So the idea was, you know, try to limit how many you're handing out and just have them fill it out online. Click open a computer, open the website, open the survey, and let them have that. It was just a lot easier and more convenient and less paper. So.
What about those who don't have computers though, and don't get out that much?
Then they could have gotten a paper copy. I mean,
They call my office and I could bring them one. I brought 2 out to people, so they have to just call and ask.
They may not know about it, is my point.
Well, we also have all our, you know, on Channel 23, and all our meetings are uploaded to YouTube, to our channel. There are a lot of people who don't even know what the town website is. You know what a battle it's been. This is my biggest battle since I've been in, is the information in this town.
I mean, I wish we had this kind of outcry with the survey for the floodplain development plan.
Do you have hard copies you can
Yes,
give out tonight to me?
not right now, in my office, in his office, because he's on the committee, I'm not. So you have them too, right?
Yeah, I have them too.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah.
Can we get them tonight?
I had
Yeah,
a
if
gentleman
people
come
want
in and I
copies
did it
tonight.
online for him, with him, you know, an elderly gentleman. So, you know,
Yes, we can get you copies.
we can.
Any other public comments?
I have a short comment. My great-grandfather was a chef at the Catskill Mountain House during the Silver Age of the Catskills, before the automobile. And my great-aunt was born in Twilight Park. Marie Antoinette was a graf. But, and then on my father's side, my family goes back to the Dutch and the French Huguenots in 1600s, so that makes me like a daughter of the Revolution. So, I just had a couple of things to share. I'm not a libertarian in particular, but I do like this statement from the Federalist Society. They say, let's see, without my glasses here, I think I can go. Punishing responsible homeowners and conscientious entrepreneurs only discourages hard work and hinders economic growth. It violates an essential element of our constitutional freedom, the cornerstone of liberty, the right to own property. And then the New York Bar Association states that when you own real property, you have certain rights that go along with that ownership, including the right to allow others a right to use. And they also list a right to privacy. And I just would like to consider the neighbor who, maybe they've been there for who knows how long, but they like to have their friends and family come over and visit, and they like to have cookouts and they like to have fun. You're not going to, like, you know, there is a right to privacy here. And I just would like to make a comment about the quality of life concern. You know, we have some neighbors across the street who like to play their music and sit around the fire and drink beer and shoot the shit, and they keep us awake, and we're like, okay, well, that's all right. When they start firing fireworks off at like 2 a.m., then it's not all right. But you know, this is the country, and we should, you know, let's have a little